Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. Hey, morning, P. How's your week?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, just a couple days. I went real light after ER Casino kind of did its did its thing. Trade Desk went nuts on that, and yeah. Other than that, just a lot of the bigger ideas are starting to really pan out. Silver, gold, a couple things, and some of the smalls that take off. RX being one of them. So yeah, just kind of sticking to the plan there, and the park and wait in smalls thing has really been the best setup for me. It's much more passive than my typical trading, but I think it's a good thing, and fairly stress free with some of the entries we got on those.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of tell it
I'm
too.
I'm selling
Go ahead.
more than buying.
You're
I'm
selling more than
selling
buying.
more than buying right now.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It's just like I'm just peeling off, a lot of stuff I had.
Nice. Tale of two coins for me this week. Totally with you. Like the longer thesis stuff. I haven't went back yet, but I'm gonna go back to the this session. Um, when I got back from vacation, because I'm pretty sure I told the story about hanging out with some old guys talking about boner pills and hymns and how they're going to have a Super Bowl commercial, and that's where you want to be. In the great words of Joe Biden, well, son of a bitch, looks like it happened. So, um, not expected to get
Yeah,
a 100% move like that from in a month, but when you do grind and you work, occasionally a really good piece of fruit falls down. Bro's the same way, maybe a little longer. That took a quarter. Stupid stuff like BP did real good, and then Tuesday, really what changed my week. Tuesday morning, I don't drop random tickers ever. Like I mean, especially if they're not vetted in collabs. You're just not usually going to catch a random ticker from me unless there's a reason. That AIFF had Nvidia news on Tuesday morning, 4 o'clock. Just got a little piece of that, but man, it was like 300% share side. Um, so it's like that kind of is like, well, good to go for the week here. Now don't fuck that up. The only thing I did wrong there is I should have went and looked at every single AI ticker, because we kind of got that movement, and then we got the news from Nvidia backing out of the deals with a couple of the other small cap AI companies. So um, following Buffett, following Pelosi, still kind of works for me. Really strong week. Finally got out of that 610, even though we kind of checked back a little bit. Um, Once again, a bull market or a bear market, they're real hard to turn around. So got that 6 to 8 weeks consolidation we talked about. Pretty much right on the money here on 6 weeks. So I think we're, unless you're seeing things real different, I do think we continue higher. And once again, it's in the B's and the C's.
yeah, I I think so, and it just continues that the pre market red has been really what to look for in a lot of stuff. It just doesn't last. Things grind back up, and even with earnings. So like you know I saw. Well, I'll talk about two of them real quick. So Palo Alto down 4 or 5% in the pre-market on the earnings reaction. That just wasn't likely to last for a lot of reasons. Just the character of the stock lately, the flow setup going in. So you kind of look, to trade the recovery there, and by recovery I just mean it gets back 3 or 4% of that the next day. Often that often happens. But then on the flip side, you have something like Twillo that takes off. Twillo's been running really hot for months now. That's a little different, and so you get the drop down, and you can get the continuation down. Now it's not like you just what's gonna what's gonna happen, but I think you want to be selective. You want to trade off levels when you can, and I think especially you don't want to chase any kind of downside right now. It's not really it's not really worth it to, have something gap down, 3-4% and think I'm going to trade this down
You already got to be
another
there.
2%.
Already got to be there.
It's just, yeah, yeah. So that's why, when I set up the ER casino, what you often see is the put is much shorter expiration than the call, and it's for this reason. So that's what happened with Trade Desk. Now I didn't think Trade Desk was going to go, you know, $20 in the money the next morning, but it's quick hitters, and so anything to the downside has to be that way, and it's just because of like what you said. I mean, it's just the trend. I mean, zoom out. What do those pullbacks look like, and how long do they last? It goes and recaptures whatever trend it was on. The time frame it takes to do that depends on a lot of things, but I just don't think you can linger in any kind of downside right now. So that's been kind of my whole mode for a while, and with options, I continue to just think that we're going to grind higher, but they're going to get chopped around, eating up premiums if is something whales are going to do if they can. So you just got to be very, very selective if you want to operate in that world, and that's why I'm trying to write very focused notes. And I will just say, like, a trend for me is that the shorter the note is, the better it is, because that means the setup's fairly simple. So you want to
Self-explanatory.
read between the lines. Yeah, you want to read between the lines with me. That's kind of how it is. So I why then the question is, well, why don't I just write the simple ones? I don't like, my process is what it is, and I write what I see, and a lot of those more complicated setups, they do work, and I trade them just fine, and I try to share what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, I mean, it's probably a good transition into the low volume thing, because I thought that was a really
Well,
good convo.
can we do cover one thing before we go there? Because I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
go
I'm
ahead, go ahead.
I'm not
Yeah,
an options trader, so I'm stuck in enrollment. I'm not even a freshman. Um, but when Trade Desk fell,
yeah, yeah.
when Trade Desk fell for you, um, we went from what 120 to 90, and we can run back the group and look at it. I was like, well, we're gonna go test the RTL at 80 and maybe even 77. This best chef, the best shelf there really is was 77. Um, is that tradable from the downside options, or would you just leave that alone from like the open or the following day?
So it it is, and I will say, like, it especially is tradable if, so we had the weekly put, um, cash that out, and roll. You don't even need a fourth of it, less than that. I mean, you could just take like 1/8 of the profit you just made on this thing that went 70 to $2,000. Um, you want to take a couple $100 of that and roll and have that downside target. It's just how these pivots operate for me, the to it, not through it. And so it's like, yeah, you get a strike around that pivot with as much time as you want to buy. A couple weeks out is probably the best idea, or a month, and you go for it. So yes, absolutely, that's tradable. What can happen though, and this is what happened with uh, SWKS, that you get that kind of dead cat bounce really early, like right at open, and it maybe lasts 3 minutes, and then it retraces down. The problem with that is, if you have the weekly put, um, it just went down $300 in 45 seconds, and it's like, okay, it's probably going back down. But if it keeps going up, then the trade's kind of not ruined, but I mean, something that opened at $1,200 and you end up selling it for 600. That's a little deflating. So you have to just cash out whatever you had
Two trades.
quickly.
Two trades.
Two trades. Yeah. So two trades, and I think two trades has been some of our best advice, and it has different meanings depending on the setup that you're talking about. A lot of times it's, if we had an entry like Hood, I got Hood way the hell down when we were talking about it. I got some Palantir way down there. You can still trade it up here, but it's not that same trade that you were just in. So I don't even keep in the same brokerage when I have such situations like that. Psychologically, it just works better for me. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So the two trade idea, and and I absolutely think that some of these are going to follow through to the downside. Snow did that several times. Roku did that several times. So yeah, absolutely, there is a trade. There is a trade there, and if you're planning to go long on Trade Desk and you have this level in mind, and you are an options trader, it's you can do short little swing or day trade to the downside, and then use the profit to buy shares longer term, and then the upside you just give it time. It will recover. Um, I don't think there's a situation where the market grinds up like we're talking about and Trade Desk just gets left behind. But it can take weeks, months for it to go mid candle on this drop it just had for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, I mean, it's not the option side. It kind of goes back to where I am good at on the share side, and it wasn't a buying opportunity from. I mean, I've said for weeks I'm trying to read reports and have big drops, and Trade Desk is a perfect example. While I ran that through my system, it was no, we got to go to 80 or 77 before that's the case. So that's not actionable for me because I only trade shares to the upside. So, but using that, it seemed like if people dabbled in that, they would have also caught that as well. Because I very rarely am I like hang out in a downside move like that because it will find support usually. There's a place and a reason stuff drops to where it does. Um, it's not just a random number usually, except for PayPal. PayPal 75, that is a random number, but that's where we are. Yeah, let's rotate into that low volume talk.
So, well, yeah, and on that, and this transitions to that too. That note. So, like your whole system is predicated on on the not even just the idea, just the fact that there are prices where there's existing or historical
A
buyers
lot.
there, and yeah,
Money
and
bigger,
so
money bigger
it's
than you. That's the whales. Yes, I mean that's what it is. You
yeah.
can't
So
they
to
can't hide their shares.
so if this like the stock dips and it's only got 3-5% more to go to hit that level, it's probably going to do that. The what I see on my end, these kind of options can create sort of artificial temporary support, and I think that's kind of where local pivots come from. And there are a number of setups we have where you have your line, local pivot above, local pivot below, and it's like they sort of regroup at those spots often to then go to go test that line, and
Mm-hmm.
then it comes back. And we talk about this almost like it's like a living thing, but it really just is, I suppose, just math that there are, however the algos are configured or whatever, it those spots are important because there's volume there,
Well,
and or there's going to be volume
I
there.
think what most people miss. I mean, first you got to trust the levels, and we've done this long enough. That takes people. You got to see the miracle. You got to see Moses part the Red Sea a few times before you believe it. The
Yeah,
number one thing I think would help people get there faster is price will always be revisited, and that's just what it is. The people that make the market make fractional pennies off of every share trade. They're basically taking a very small percentage. So in a high volume or volatile market, however you want to put it, they need shares, and that's where the shares are. That's why we remember when we used to always say in the super downtrend because we were trying to get to turn the market around like we had some fucking control. We would say turn share lending off. I mean that's it. They need to get into that bank of shares because they can borrow them from people for the lack of better terms, and that's where most of them are. So they want to have as many transactions as possible. That's really what they want. They want volume. They want it to be traded because that's how they make money. They don't care the price. So I try to use that to my advantage. Um, being where it's just thicker. Being, I mean, I guess support would be a good word. Trade. So kind of, not to hop around too much, but with the trade desk, like it doesn't always have to be revisited. But if you know that it's 80 and 77, and we start consolidating off 90, that should just tell you there's people buying. Like they're holding that up. That's strong. For me, that's strong. For some people, they're like, oh well, I'm not going to get my entry. And the same goes when you go through a level. If it just runs right through it, there's just no buyers. Maybe we will check down to another level. So it's learning how to use the pivot, which I think pivot's one of our best words, because that's what it should do there. And to be honest, most of the time on the drops, you're looking for a high or low off your level. That's what strength is to me. And you just kind of see that it's guidelines. If I didn't have my lines on the chart, you would just be going off feel, I guess. So having something at a historical reference, um, it's the world to the way I trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And and so then on the this the volume combo, what where this came from was in a particular sector sometimes, and this time it's been semiconductors, but I just see these obscure tickers I haven't really seen before, and I know a lot of stock tickers, so it's getting more rare for me to see something
Yeah.
I've just never seen, and and so I find the flow on those. A lot of times they're longer term, January, or thereabouts, and and so it hits my filters. I don't look for them. I just throw them in collabs, and I wasn't even looking at volume, but over and over again with those, you were talking about low volume, and then you said, you know, low volume is a red flag, and I thought about this, and I definitely see that, from what I do. Um, I don't want to tinker with the filters I have set up
Don't. Do not.
because you know, and so I am going to just keep tossing those into collabs,
Yes.
and then we work through them.
So
And I
so
think
let
that's the best way to
let me just
handle it.
run through where I was at the time, because I think it was more critical of the moment than the overall. So um,
Yeah,
in general, low volume, it just there's not the shelves in there, right? So when we get those, they are harder to read
right.
on my side. Um, my where I was coming from was more of getting people to focus on the really easy stuff, as and not just our research angle. So no, I don't want you to trade. I don't want you to not drop them. Um, it's just it was more of a better fish thing at the time, which that's on me, not you. So I do apologize a little bit for that, because our
No,
system
no, that's
works. Our system totally works. And really, what changed my mind on it, Pete, is because I was gonna stand on it, and then I so much that I went into my big list and I started kicking shit off. And I think I sent you the list um, in main chat. There was like what 20 21 names I kicked off, maybe 30 names I kicked off. Which again, if they come up in natural reads again, so be it. But there was probably another 40 that were that fit the criteria of low volume that I'm not getting rid of. So and they were tradable before. We've traded Build a Bear, which is shitty volume. We've traded what was another good. There's like Red Robin was low volume. So I mean that there is value in there. It was just more of protection of right now you shouldn't be paying attention to this as and the rest of the week kind of explain that. um, so it's more of not a freshman thing, but our research it's highly needed. So that's where I was wrong, 100% on that. Um, we shouldn't change our research now. Me and you, not for the average Joe freshman, for the professor and the unk in the room. We just need an extra check on those. That's all it really is.
I agree, and I think for me, um, when trading the narrative, and trying to see what is going on with why they're buying these, and it it does seem to be that there's some kind of sector implications here, and so what that means to me is that I mentioned it sort of just casually. I'm like, yeah, these aren't Hemex, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
and then and then that one just had a great close of the week or whatever. Um, but but yeah, I mean, so there's definitely this notion that they're just grabbing up everything that they can for some kind of significant move, and those ones that we're talking about, if I do trade those, it's park and wait, and it's not even shares. For me, it's I'll buy one or two options, and either you know it bleeds out from $75 to $45, or it goes $75 to $400. So there's more room above than below in that contract, in the sense that if whales actually take this in the money, my contract that's closer to the money is going to do very well. So it is kind of it's a lotto sizing thing. But yeah, I mean, so for me, I'm more interested in what that habit of the whales that says about what this sector is going to do. And I just saw the same thing with auto parts, of all things,
Sure.
that are related to EV, and that does seem to indicate that that sector is going to be on the move, which has implications for batteries, and a lot of the other stuff that we trade. So so tickers like that, they're just sort of one chapter in what I do, and to definitely not going to get rid of them, but yeah, use some caution when
Yeah.
when going into those,
I
especially.
think the thing that I'm trying to avoid. I mean, I'm definitely in protect people's accounts. I don't know how else to say it this year. Like, I want to refine it, and I'm sure you've seen it over
Yeah,
probably the last 3 quarters, where I'm just trying to refine it. So what we really put out there is easier for people. And I would just hate for somebody to grab one of those tickers because they're going through their checks that they've created, and it makes sense. Where really they should have just bought fucking the video over the last 3 weeks, or traded him and X on the daily. That's the only thing that I could say where that's my 10% of right in this argument, is because that's the angle I'm trying to come from on those. Like, I would just hate for someone to hop in one of those and then just it doesn't do shit, because it was more of a whale trying to get coverage, or whatever you're seeing. I don't know the mechanics behind your scene, and not trade the easy ones. Because I mean, the freshman trade, as we call it. Just be honest. That's what most people should be doing. Um, they really really should. And when we bring other stuff to the table, as part of our research, which we should, I think we just need to identify that you just need to swim in, as we used to say, swim in or fish in your fishing holes that you're used to. You just got to be patient. Um, and you go timestamp the video. I said start buying it. It dipped down again, and dipped down from the 134 to 122, 120, and now we're back up to the 134. That was a perfect 3 weeks for you to DCA. Hamonex 909 has been bouncing. So for me, it's just to not cloud the river for them, and I don't know how we address that. And maybe it is just a little more.
yeah.
It's a little more. I'm seeing a lot of semiconductors, so we'll probably be good in our regular ones, or something like that. We just need to get there, and I think that would clear up what made me frustrated, um, in that moment. So yeah, my bad, P. When
And no, it's
it,
fine.
it,
It's
it
fine.
comes it
Well,
comes back it comes back one thing here. It comes back to, if you want to be great, man, you got to
yeah,
question good. You just do. And you're
yeah,
really
yeah.
good, and I want you to be great. So I'm questioning it. So don't take it any other way than that.
No, I don't. I don't. It just and what's sort of funny about it is, then when I call up a chart, I mean, there's lots of ways to look at volume, but I can even tell just by looking at candles that a stock doesn't have volume. They just, it's a clunky looking chart, and you don't see the wicks and all that. So yeah, I mean, I completely saw what you were seeing there. I'll be interested to see what happens with some of some of those names, going forward. Because I don't think they're all just going to take off, but it's kind of like whales getting this sort of shotgun theory, where it's just like they just spread everything out
Yeah.
in a sector,
Yep.
and
Well,
a
they know
couple
they
will.
know a news or a contract, or we're gonna have to build semis in America, and they're just covering in case one of those
Yeah,
people will say something. Like that's all it really is,
right,
because that's
right.
not gonna be a 10% move. It's probably gonna be a 50 to 70% move share side. It's just, yeah, no, I get that, but I don't want our people to focus on the stuff that isn't vetted well and is very, very tradable, and that we're like, if someone asked me a question on that, I would just say I don't know. But if you want to talk about Heminex or Nvidia or AMD, I got you.
Something related to that some of these stocks, like I posted early in the week, and we've had some really great entries on a lot of things. And as these next couple earnings cycles come up, you have to be prepared for some of these to drop
Yeah,
10, 15%.
sure.
Some more extreme than that. I mean, there was one dropped 50. And it's at the point it's at now. Like if you traded that, um, you should have sold quite a bit of it, because it moved from 15 over 20,
Give me an
whatever.
example of what you're talking about.
But it was that SPIR.
Oh, sure, sure, okay, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. So basically, like, the trade was there, kind of happened, and then people are still in it, and then you get that big drop. That one was extreme, but I'm talking more like, well, Twilio is a good example, right?
Okay.
So we had Twilio like way the hell down there. It dropped 15%
Twelve's
on Friday.
$80. Twelve's 80
Um,
bucks.
yeah, exactly, right. So what I'm saying is, like, no matter how good your entry is, you have to decide, like, as we approach these earnings dates. Number one, you need to know when they are. Like, so find a way to. There's plenty of calendars out there. Some basic homework, you know, mark earnings dates, and then decide, like, what is this position to me? The shares I have left, or the options I have left, even more important. But what is it? What would I do if this drops 15% in a day, a week, a month, whatever? What price am I just going to say, okay, I'm done, or do I even care? Like, I just have enough where it's like I'm just gonna keep this long term. If you have snow in the low 100s, and you're like, I took some profit at 180 or whatever, and then you know we'll just go from there. If it wants to revisit my entry, whatever. But I think you have to have that. You have to have that in mind, because despite the fact that I am pretty bullish on the market, I know a lot of these individual names are gonna get wrecked short term, and it's gonna happen around earnings or news or whatever. So if you go into it with the idea that I know what I'm gonna do if this happens, and just keep up with your stuff. You got this. Your garden out back's flourishing. It's growing. It's doing whatever. You still got to keep an eye on it. You still got to manage it. So come up with a way to manage your wins. That's my biggest advice I could give to people, to where you don't just get dejected when that stock drops 20%,
Right.
and it messes with your mind. Like you already know, okay, it hit a stop I have in mind. I'm going to scale out, or whatever. So just be prepared for that, because when the market's up here, it's going to happen, and I just think you just want to be mindful of that.
I'm I mean, it's kind of like a reverse FOMO, I guess is what I don't know how else to put it, but for me, like, we nail a trade.
Yeah.
We nail a trade. This one, bro. For me right now, I'm talking Bros, Heminex, and Tesla would be my three that I would bring to the table for examples. Like, we nailed the day trades and the swing trades on that. We're now in investor mode, and that's why someone said, "Oh, I didn't see Bros." Yeah, well, I don't talk. We don't really have the investment page. Bros moved on to an investment, at least how I view it. But it's already been, and we say two trades. It's really more five to be honest. But I can sell people on 2 trades before I can sell them on 5. So we're just going to start there. So we did the day trade, we did the swing trade, all that, and after that, you do for me. It's an investment of what I have left for 2 reasons. One, my average after the day trade and the swing trade is going to be in the dirt. Like my bros shares are probably, if we go off the average of the share cost, I'm like $4 or $5 a share. I'm not getting rid of that for one reason and one reason only. I don't like paying taxes. And that's going to help you guys when you do have a decent size account. It sucks paying taxes. So I'm not selling those. I mean, it'd take a lot from me. The Bros is a great example because I know the story. They just opened their 1,000th store. They're going to kill market share over the next 10 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not. I've already scaled out from my day trade and my swing trade. I don't have the full position. What I have in there, I made off of that trade. So I'm not trying to pay fucking taxes on it. So for me, um, you do need to. Pac was talking about it. You need to have a spot where you're like, all right, the trend has changed, and be able to 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 weather the overbought. I mean, we talk about oversold. There's also overbought, and not think you're losing profit. Tesla, on the other hand, that story ain't good right now. My hundreds, I'm taking some off the table, and it's not an all or nothing. Let's say, just to save math for me, let's say I originally entered Tesla at 100 bucks, 100% of my thing, and I kept 50% um, after the day trade and the swing trade. Um, I'm still only taking 10% off at a time as it falls because I do want to hold the position. I don't want to pay taxes, and I do believe in the story. It's never an all or nothing thing. It's never just get out of it. And again, my dollar cost average there is probably like 20 bucks. So it's just a protection for me. I like the position in the company, but that's an investor thing. So if you're holding a day trade or a swing trade still, stop it. You need to switch that to an investment. That way you don't have so much skin in the game, or just, I guess, so much emotions in the game that you're like, this is my whole account. It just dropped 15%. I don't care. I really don't care. Let it drop. I might get more. I might buy more if it makes sense. And I hope I can buy more Bros. I hope I can buy more Hymns. I hope I can buy more Tesla. And that's where your mind needs to be. Not, oh, I'm holding this and it's my whole account. What should I do? Because you're just sitting on an island there and you're wasting fucking time. Sorry.
No, yeah, totally with you. And the coin's kind of the one for me.
Yes,
I
yes.
wasn't really optimistic on earnings there. I mean, you had people calling out, oh, it's going to 400 on ER. It doesn't do that. Like coin doesn't move like that. When it was moving like that, it was moving down. Like, it's never
Mm-hmm.
on earnings. What it'll do is you get through ER and then it'll, can move up. But yeah, I mean, I'm this round of coin, I'm under $120 on the average. So it can hang out, around here, and that's fine. And I'm just gonna keep that. Crypto collapses, there are some prices where I would just get out, and then
Well, and
we
again,
do the
there's
whole thing
nothing
over
wrong
again.
with scraping 10% at a time. There's just not. It's still,
Yeah,
they're all, that's a winning trade. It's closing a
right.
trade green. That's what we say it all the time. Close every trade green and let me know where you
Yep.
are. And that's just another green trade. And yes, we say 2 trades, but this goes back to shit. It's going to be hard to sell someone on 5, but that's really what it needs. Maybe 10 even. Like coin for you, how active you are, you should be on your 15th coin share trade by now. You really should. If you've only traded coin like from, if you held that 70s, got out some at that 220 or whatever, and you've just been riding this up, that's a mistake in my opinion. You got to be more fluid with it.
No, it's so. I mean, for me, the way I have like kind of a basket for all of them. The option trades fund the shares I buy, basically, and so that's what I've been doing on the way up. And there've been you know pivots that emerge, kind of as we go. You know, 200 still ain't shit on coin, which has been funny on the way up because it just flies right through it. And it just, it was like 180 and then, just takes off. But yeah, no, I'm with you there, and I
another
just yeah,
point
I
that
want people.
go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh well, I just I what I feel for people on is if you have a smaller account and you're just you're trying to choose which of ours to buy, and you have five trades, and two of those have a day like some of these have had, or one of them, or whatever, that's a bigger chunk of your account. So I don't want to, like, if I still have some of those that fall like that, I don't really have much left, and it doesn't bother me because it's free shares. And so I don't want to have the attitude that like I shrug it off what they're going through with that, or that I don't want to scold them either and be like, well, you should have sold. Like I don't want to do that. But when people post those losses like that, I am interested to hear what was your thinking and your plan on this, and then just acknowledgement that you can't really predict these earnings reactions, but you can protect yourself into earnings, and options sometimes can be good for that. So yeah, I just want to. I'm never making fun of people, or trying to scold them or anything like that. But let's just we can learn from what happened, and we can do better in the future. I
Yeah,
guess is kind of my attitude.
I'm not a teacher, and I'm in a position where I'm trying to teach people things. And my intent, I'll be as honest as I can, is to get it through your head as fast as possible, whatever it takes. And I'm constantly searching
Yeah.
for the best way to get the message through. Now, I have a heavy, heavy sports background, so I come from that angle where the way I communicate and never take it the wrong way because I just want to get points across to people that that last and that are effective. What I was gonna say before we started, and you kind of touched it, the small account thing, and this is more for Twitter than people in our room, but I do think people dabble in it. But we talk about not starting over every day, and if you're a small account and you're constantly taking funds for fun, for life, or whatever out of your account, you're basically starting over every week. And
Yeah.
you have to, I don't want to say find a way to fund the account, but you have to find a way to not unfund the account, because it's much easy. It's so much
Hmm.
easier when you do have a nest egg or uh, at least PDT, if not better, to play around with, and it's hard. And that's where I'll say names. I don't give a fuck. That's where Red Hot and Lane, old D Book. That's why they're where they're at. Is because they thought they could trade and take out 20K and keep trading and trading, and eventually they didn't have anything left. And now we're trading fucking meme coins and buying $100 flights and eating at buffets and complaining that no one will follow me because of what you're doing is not sustainable. And I'm all about the long term here. Like I don't care about anything else but people pulling themselves out of whatever position they're in and being able to have a residual income through this trading through some hard work. So it's just something I've noticed lately. Again, not in our room, but in general. But if you're a small account, quit taking fucking money out of it because it's not going to help you in the long run. And then your collateral you got, that you built to make a mistake, you took that away. You took that away. And mentally, it sucks. If you always just have 10K, I got 10K and I made two, and I took that two out. Now I got 10K again. It could be 3 months down the road. It could be 2 days down the road. And then you slip on that 10K on one bad trade. Now you just feel like you're in a fucking hole, and it's not healthy. You're not productive, and you're not going to make good decisions. And again, it's just something I seen this week, and it's to be honest with you, it's sad. It's sad to me, and that's not what I'm here for. And that's not what I would suggest anybody trying to do. I think we do a great job of not doing that with people or having people do that. Like we don't our testimonies and victory laps aren't like, look, I'm withdrawing $2,000 here. Um, but yeah, it's just something I seen, and I think
Um,
it needs to be said.
yeah, right. And I think I talk about don't start over every day. Starting over every week is not
So
as bad, but it's just as it's not a good recipe either. So
It,
yeah, I'm with you. And
it's
yeah, I like
fentanyl.
sports
It's
analogy.
fentanyl to heroin. That's all it is. It's
Yeah,
fentanyl.
right,
Fentanyl to
exactly.
heroin. I mean, it's just not as bad.
Right. And yeah, I like the sports analogies too. I think baseball works the best for me for trading because baseball's complicated, and trading can be complicated too. So and also the win rate, right? Like you know you're not going to get a hit every time you come to the plate, and it's
Well, you can't take
yeah. And I was
if
just
you if
better at
you're
baseball.
resetting, or again if you're again you just cleared out 5K or 2K or whatever because you just had a dub and you take it and you reset your account to that, like and that's all you got. I mean, you're gonna if you if you go down, you're just gonna it's just gonna change your mentality over and over again, and it's just you're better off. You're really better off taking that 2K, keeping it in, and saying this is all I'm gonna trade with. I mean, that's a way better way
Well,
to
right,
go.
and it's if you know if the settled funds thing, like I always talk about that, like the or using the term dry powder, that they're usually talking about $70 or whatever they've got left, and that's why late in the day they're trading $20 contracts because that's all the settled funds they have. And the thing is, I'm not even saying that they went into the day with only $500 or something. Some of those guys have tens of thousands of dollars in that trading account, but they trade so much every
Yeah,
day
yeah.
that at the end of the day, none of that is settled. They're all in every day. That is a mentality, and we always say like it's a style that is a style, and one of the reasons they like the meme coins is that instant settlement on meme coins you buy and sell. So they're just in and out all day. Same with the sports betting. Like it's just it settles. You get the new one, do a new one, do a new one, and so that's we're in a we're not doing the same thing as them. This is not the the
No,
same profession that they're doing. So
no, and
they're on the casino
you
floor.
shouldn't flush your whole account every day. That's just bad. But I mean, you can have a percentage. Again,
Yeah,
that 2 grand off the 10, right? You can swing with the 10 and that two. Flush it every day if you
yeah,
want. But you got to. I mean, just have a fucking some rules that work for you in that regard. I mean, options trading. I think you kind of got to have that set up.
yeah. Don't. Oh yeah, yeah. And don't change the rules. When you lose, like you have a bad day, don't change your rule to make it back. That's a recipe for disaster. So, and I don't even think I'm talking to anybody in our room that would do that. But that's what a lot of people do. It's like they have a bad setup, and then I'm all in full port. All I got left, and then predicting earthquakes or whatever that kid's
God.
doing. Like, I mean, that's his whole style. But yeah. So anyway, I really do appreciate the people who share when something goes bad. Um,
Yeah, it's the
we'll talk it through, and we'll
easiest way
figure
to
out
learn.
where to
I
go
mean,
from there.
it's not an L if it's a
Yeah,
lesson. Or only an L if it's not a lesson. However, I used to say that one. Like if you're learning from your mistakes, that's the best
yeah,
thing you can do.
yep,
You don't really learn much
absolutely.
from wins. You don't. It really it lets things
Yeah,
creep in like FOMO and greed and overconfidence. That's what wins do.
yeah,
Which is you kind of caught
yeah,
me Thursday Friday. I shut it off though. Like I know myself enough. The long term was up so good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I nailed that AIFF play. Like absolutely crushed that. Like I'm on cloud nine, weekly goals knocked out. I'm just gonna talk shit in our Discord versus trading because I know that overconfidence isn't good for my trading. And you've seen that my whole career in our room. I've always been like that. I used to post that weekly goal now, and I'm gonna talk some shit now, um, because
I'm
it's not healthy for me personally to trade when I'm in that bad mindset of I can't lose.
yeah. Well, and one thing with me that I've noticed, like these when the casino thing hits really big, it is best for me to not be very active trading that morning because for one thing, I got to focus on getting rid of this thing. I bought it for $70. It's worth 1,700 at open. I want to focus. My focus has to be there. So whereas on a normal day, I'm into the, those first couple minutes are crucial for options trading. So if my focus can't be on that, I better not get into it. But then, like psychologically as well, just hit a big win and just take a breather. I mean, in sports, you have a big win, you process it for a minute, and then you get back to work. So for me, the best thing to do is just get to work and studying flow rather than, I made $1,700. Let's turn it to 3,000. I mean, no, that's not a good mentality either. So
Yeah, you're one of your favorite analogies that I've been trying to push back through, or not favorite, but my favorite of your analogies that I'm trying to keep alive. But if you lucked out and had a threesome on Friday night in the college dorm, you don't go back Saturday trying to get another one. You're probably gonna get
yeah,
beat
right,
up.
right.
Someone's probably gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, yeah,
Someone's probably gonna whoop
yeah,
your
yeah.
ass. So don't. I mean, same thing. Like
Right.
you take the dub. You say
Yeah.
thank you. You go back and you try to find the girl on Sunday at church that you're gonna make your
Yeah.
wife.
Right. Yeah.
um,
All right. So let's hop into some boring if you want.
I want to talk one topic before we go there, and I know we're running tight on time,
Yeah,
but I think it's huge because we had CPI,
that's
we
fine.
had Trump again, man. He's Monday morning. Whatever we're talking about by Friday, you done forgot because there's so much going
Yeah.
on. They tried to say CPI moved the market last week, which I'm not saying it didn't. But I really think the biggest news that ain't nobody on Twitter, ain't no one talking about anywhere, is India Prime Minister was on our soil, basically was sucking Trump's dick all week. And isn't the India the I in BRICS? Am I wrong on that? So
Right.
so so
Yeah.
so BRICS don't have a vowel anymore. Like that's the most bullish thing on the
Yeah.
planet for me. I mean, I don't know how people are missing that, but am I wrong
Yes.
there? Am I wrong on that or?
No. I mean, so I think as far as international partnerships and things like that, I think the relationships in Europe will continue to deteriorate somewhat, but there's big opportunities for India, countries in South America,
Brazil.
to get more of a piece of U.S. prosperity is what
Yes.
they're after, and
Yes.
and so I think yeah, absolutely, and I mean, way back I talked about India, and there are a lot of stock implications for India. So yeah, I'm with you on that, and I think that's to me that's kind of the trajectory that we're going. Like that, Europe's going to continue to be kind of pissed at us. We're going to pull out of NATO somewhat. They're going to have to fund their own military more, and things like that. So the the flip side, like European stocks, I'm always very careful about those. I joke about it with NVO versus Eli Lilly, but but I mean
Sure.
that's a unique illustration. That there you go. I mean, they both took off and did well, but LLY is much stronger.
Stronger.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I'd be cautious with Europe, bullish on India, bullish on South America. That's where I'm at. Africa is kind of a toss up. It's more complicated. Offshore drilling, I like it. Uh, I like our JMIA, but yeah, I mean that'll pop up too. South Africa is in, by the way, big in BRICS and has a lot of uh, implications for metals and basic materials and things like that. So that's another one I'd keep an eye on too.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, let's get some boring shit.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm going to start with.
Get your screen going.
Oh, let me get my screen here.
Is it that one? Oh, yeah, I don't want to do it
That's
that way.
crypto. We don't need that.
There we go.
All right. How about that? Copper. Doing what I talked about. Still really strong up here. Pull back 2% is really Nothing. This is kind of destined for $5, I think. The geopolitically seems to be kind of headed that way. A lot of people talk about copper as a leading indicator. What they think it indicates is different depending on who you're talking to. But the fact of the matter is that the aluminum stocks that we have that we talk about and the copper stocks that we talk about are reacting well and going to probably continue to react well to what's going on with copper. And even if we do pull back into like the 430s or something like that, still pretty bullish on copper. And natural gas, um, we nailed the bottom on this, and I'm still thinking it gets into the $5 to $7 area. That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's my take on it, and I think the combo reads are better for swings than the leveraged ETFs. So I just would sort of continue to have my focus there. Flow most of those names 20 to 50% out of the money into next year. So that's pretty plausible, and I think a pretty good part of your account being there is going to put you in good shape, in my opinion. And
Silver and
let's see.
gold.
Yep, silver. Yeah, doing what we thought, and I still think 40-42 is probably where it's headed. And I suppose testing the recent high is going to be important, but I don't think there's any stopping this for a lot of reasons. Just the industrial implications of silver, this whole disparity between paper silver and physical deliveries of silver. You're seeing the same story pop up
Yes.
in gold, and just the idea of in any kind of geopolitical uncertainty, silver and gold being a good place to park your
Silver
park your
for
cash,
me,
and then
silver for me on shares and the companies that we're
yeah,
in. I trade AG. I'll just say the name. I trade AG as much as I mention it, um, and it's because it's consolidating. So
right.
if I buy in the fives, I sell some at the six. I buy more in the fives. I'm trying to get my dollar cost average down because I don't know when the silver move is coming, but I know it's coming. So for me, I get the sizing right. I scale out in the current pivots, range, whatever you want to call it, and I'm waiting for the move. Whereas gold is kind of already moving for me on the share side. Go for it.
Gold just continues to grind up. Gonna probably hit 3,000. Gonna hit
What was your
much
number?
higher than
What
that.
was
My,
that
in my
number?
opinion,
What was the December number?
3,600.
Yeah, when I was like, "You're fucking crazy." Okay, I just wanted. I couldn't remember it because I really
Yeah,
dismissed it.
yeah.
Um, to be honest, um, so this candle we got over the weekend. I seen people freaking out about it. Nothing to you?
No,
Okay,
yeah, I don't.
okay,
I'm not.
okay, okay,
Not really worried.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear.
And especially too. I mean the okay, so like if a particular gold stock that
We're going to talk about that
we
next
trade.
session. We're talking about that next session.
Yeah, I mean, if it does want to pull back, we know where it's going to pull back to.
Okay.
Okay, here we go again, and we'll do it again. So yeah, I still very much
Hey,
like the upside on those
are
names.
you buy sell hold on that right now?
Oh, I'm by.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think you look
Okay.
for laggers, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and
You're gonna do it. Just go
lastly, just
ahead.
want to talk about Bitcoin.
Yep.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, talk about Bitcoin for just a minute. I'll go to the actual chart here. I said 92 to 98 that we're going to be stuck there. Still are, and yeah, I mean it seems to me like the result of this consolidation is going to be down. I mean I don't say that just based on just feeling. Just the flow isn't there. So if crypto stocks are going to take off, whales are not positioned for that, and they'll be chasing and playing catch up. That can happen, has happened, but it's kind of parked here. Sentiment is not great about crypto right now, so I just think we're kind of rife to go test the middle of this move
So
somewhere.
for me, a quick yeah, you're close to where I'm at there. So 100K is going to reject at some point in time.
Okay.
Like that's where the rejection is going to be from. But then we're going to
Yeah.
break that 88 to 72.
Mhm.
I mean, if you could just put a line at
Okay.
88 and 72, we're going to
Yeah.
break that. And if it's bad news, it's going to probably go test 72 again. If I was betting, I would say
Mm.
crypto will hit $72 or 72K again. It will revisit that price. Maybe 74, 75, but we're getting down there again. It's just got to break through 88. I think the breakthrough 88 rejection is going to come from 100. Or breakthrough 88 is going to come from 100 rejection. I never do TA on that chart, though. But if I was, that's where I'd be at.
No, have a similar view, and I look forward to it because um, how that matches is going to match up to pivots on coin and MSTR and all that. I mean, just big opportunities.
The
Uh,
shitty small
Day
ones
trades.
are pretty resilient right now. Mara's stuck on 17.
Yeah.
Like that's so I expected Mara to break that down, and it's really being defended, which I mean it's not my cup of tea, but if you like them, I would still pay attention to them because if they hold their levels during the flush, those are going to be the or excuse me, if they dip down during the flush after holding their levels, that's going to be the ones you want to buy in because you're just going to get the retrace. So we're probably going to end up trading Mara in August from like 12 to 17. That's just what I see.
And I'll be able to call my win on gold having a better year than Bitcoin at that point too.
Oh
So
yeah,
um,
you probably could already call that, P.
yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, that's what I got. We can get into SPY if you want.
No, fuck that. Let's do ERs.
Okay.
You said you want to talk ERs. We don't need to talk
Um,
SPY. SPY
I
stuck.
did. Yeah.
SPY
So
stuck. SPY stuck from what's our numbers? 610, 580. We're stuck
yeah,
there for a while. Don't worry about it. Leave that thing alone. I literally look at SPY twice a week. That's it. And it's because I'm bored.
yeah. Right. Right.
This is more important.
All right. So the yes, and so basically, like what I'm looking for in earnings. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to find ones that have sort of the big reaction, either way. But in very important oil earnings coming up. Oil is not great to trade through earnings with options. Very rarely is that any good. But you want it. But those reports are going to be, I think, important to read, just to gauge. Their numbers are likely going to be good, and for a lot of these companies, but gauge their guidance and their sentiment and all that. So when we say read the report, I think that um, learning how to read that report is important because people just focus on beating numbers or not, and in my experience with it, like most of these companies are they're set up to beat the numbers for the most part. It's more about guidance and keywords. And this algorithm era, the keywords they give you are going to be really crucial. So anyway, the ones I would be mindful of are stocks that either have had a really good run and then seem like they're kind of rife to pull back, or there's some stocks that are just completely in the dirt that that I'm really interested in, seeing if they can do something. And on this list, I spot 4 right now that I'm going to be very much into. So yeah, I have a busy week of prep. This calendar probably doesn't look that exciting to most of the people on Twitter, but this actually is
Some goods.
one of the better weeks coming up that we've had, in my opinion. Just you see some of our names on here, so
Yeah, I like that
so
top.
that's going to be
I don't know if you sorted these, but I like that top line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, just throw that out there. For me, keep it simple because there is a lot of things. What I'm if I'm not in a position,
Yep,
that's very very important. If I'm not in a position,
yep.
two things just to save me time, and it might be against the grain from what you just said a little bit, but I do look at the numbers. Like they need to beat or be in line. I really like ones that negative EPS to positive EPS. I like are close to negative EPS to positive EPS. I like those the best because it's going from profitable to non-profitable. But I look for those to be in line or beat, and the stock to drop. And then I will go look at the guidance and try to figure out why, and then make a decision on if that's an overreaction or just people rotating out of the stock. That's the easy. I mean, that's 101, the easiest way for me to play ERs, and it is post ER. The second part is the second way I like to trade them is the win in the DraftKings. Um, Charts that are in consolidation that are already kind of oversold, like you're talking about, are undervalued. All the casinos, I guess you could put in there, that just come in and say, hey, no, we're in line with what you guys have been wanting. What the hell are you doing? Why is my price so down? So those are the two ways I like to play. The first one is way easier. Um, and it gets you so you don't have to read every report. So you meet the first two checks and then you start doing research. Um, is the best way for me because it is like you're saying right now. It's I got a lot of work to do. I'm trying to limit that work on the ER side for myself. It's an opportunity to buy though, 100%.
About the numbers is the options trader who bought a call 15% upside, and then they beat the numbers, and then they're like, why is this contract going to go to zero? They beat their numbers. So it's not a simple correlation of, oh, they beat the numbers, so the stock's going to the moon.
Yeah, but where was that
That's
stock? Where was that stock at fundamentally before? Because you're talking about entering before the ER.
right.
So where was that fundamentally before?
Exactly.
And I would not buy
Yeah.
anything that's overvalued or ran. I just wouldn't. Especially since November, October, November this year, most things that have run, they're gonna pull back. People, they're overextended. They're overvalued. I don't care
Yeah.
what numbers you say. I really don't. You better say something like I got partnership with Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, something like that. You better say something like that for that to continue to go.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, you do need to make it through a couple cycles to see that. But you want stuff in the dirt, and that's why I did it with airlines last summer. I was talking airlines. Go look at the chart since then, and now I'm talking casinos. And it's just because fundamentally they're in the dirt. I mean, you have to have that, or I don't care what numbers they say. I don't care how good they are. You're gonna have people that have already. You're gonna have people that were early that are gonna take money, and that's where we get the pullback from.
Your Twillos of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely a big big week coming up. For me. So looking forward to that.
All right, so let's talk SPY. 580, 610, still kind of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to get to work, T?
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. We're
Like
good.
and subscribe. Link somewhere.